Let me give it to you straight. Beauty can open a door, but it won't keep you in the room. You can get someone's attention with your looks, but you'll lose it just as fast if there's nothing else backing it up. If you think your reflection in the mirror is enough to carry you through life, relationships, careers, influence, you're playing a short-term game with long-term consequences. The truth is beauty's not a strategy. It's a head start at best, but it has an expiration date. Skills don't wrinkle. Character doesn't fade. Values don't sag. If all you bring to the table is how you look, you're betting your future on something you cannot control. The question is, what else do you offer? What do you stand for when the lights dim and the compliments stop? Beauty is an asset, not a foundation. That one sentence might sound simple, but it carries a lot of weight if you really break it down. Let's be brutally honest. Looks matter. They open doors. They make first impressions smoother. They can buy you attention, opportunities, and even advantages that someone without them might not get as quickly. To deny that would be naive. But here's where most people get it wrong. They confuse an asset with a foundation. An asset is something that supports you, something extra that can give you leverage. A foundation is what everything rests upon. If you build your entire life, career, or relationships on beauty alone, you're building a skyscraper on sand. And when the storms come, it won't stand. Think about how you treat other assets in your life. Money, for example, is an asset. It can create options, solve problems, and make life easier. But if money is your foundation, your entire source of identity, security, or value, you're in trouble because money can be lost, stolen, or drained. Beauty is the same way. It is temporary, it changes, and it's not under your full control. If your sense of worth is rooted in it, you've tied yourself to something fragile and fleeting. But when you treat beauty as an asset, you recognize it for what it is, a bonus. It's something you can use wisely, but it's never the thing that defines your worth or carries your future. There's another trap that comes with confusing asset and foundation, and it shows up in relationships. Someone who leans only on their looks might attract people quickly, but they often struggle to keep meaningful long-term connections. Why? Because attraction based solely on surface appeal is shallow and temporary. People may enjoy the packaging, but eventually they're going to want to see what's inside. If there's no depth, no character, no substance, the connection fizzles out. What happens then? Resentment creeps in. The person who relied on beauty starts thinking, why do people always leave me? Why don't they stick around? The truth is harsh but clear. They didn't build on a foundation that could sustain the weight of real intimacy, trust, and respect. In careers, the same principle applies. You can get an interview, an introduction, or even a role based on how you present yourself. But if you don't bring competence, discipline, or skill to back it up, that initial advantage turns into a liability. People quickly learn to look past the surface, and if there's nothing there, you'll be replaced. In fact, overreliance on beauty in professional settings can backfire badly because colleagues may resent it or dismiss you as shallow. On the flip side, when you treat beauty as an asset, you pair it with real value. You show up prepared, knowledgeable, and capable, and your looks are just icing on the cake, not the cake itself. That's how you build long-term success. What's really dangerous about treating beauty as a foundation is that it stunts growth. If you've always been able to get by on your appearance, you might not develop the resilience, skills, or confidence that come from actually earning things the hard way. That creates a false sense of security. You believe you're progressing, but really you're just coasting on something you didn't earn and can't control. Then when beauty fades, or when you meet someone who isn't impressed by it, you're left unprepared, insecure, and scrambling. This is why so many people hit identity crisis later in life. They realize the thing they leaned on doesn't carry them anymore, and they never built anything stronger beneath it. On the other hand, when you embrace beauty as an asset, you free yourself. You acknowledge that it's nice to have, but you never put it in charge. You say, yes, I have this advantage, but it's not my entire identity. It's not my only card to play. That mindset shifts the way you move through the world. You invest in learning, you develop depth, you cultivate values and relationships that go beyond appearance. And ironically, that makes you even more attractive because people sense substance. They feel the strength of someone who's not dependent on approval or attention. This comes down to self-respect. If you respect yourself, you won't gamble your future on something so unstable. You'll see beauty for what it is, powerful but limited. You'll put in the work to build a foundation of character, competence, and purpose. And when you do that, beauty doesn't go to waste. It becomes one more tool in your toolbox, not the whole kit. The people who get this right end up more resilient, more respected, and more fulfilled. They're not devastated when attention shifts or when time takes its toll. They know they bring value that no mirror can measure. So the question is not whether beauty matters. It does. The question is how you treat it. Do you put it on a pedestal and let it define you? Or do you see it as an asset you can use, but never something you depend on? If you want a life that lasts, if you want relationships that thrive and a career that grows, then you cannot make beauty your foundation. Build on something stronger and let beauty play its rightful role as a supporting asset. Skills, character, and purpose outlast appearance. That truth may sound obvious on the surface, but it's something people often forget in practice. In a culture that bombards us with images of beauty and youth, it's easy to start believing that appearance is the ultimate measure of value. Yet, if you stop and look at the people you truly admire, the ones who leave a lasting impact, you'll notice their worth isn't rooted in how they look, but in what they stand for, what they can do, in the direction of their lives. Looks might turn heads, but it's skills, character, and purpose that build legacies. Let's start with skills. Skills are the currency of value in the real world. When you know how to solve problems, lead a team, communicate effectively, or build something of worth, you bring something tangible to the table. Skills make you useful, not just noticeable. A beautiful person without skills might get opportunities, but they won't keep them. A skilled person, even without conventional beauty, can create opportunities again and again. Think about it. How many people have succeeded, thrived, and influenced entire industries, not because they fit society's image of beauty, but because they mastered their craft? Skills give you staying power. They evolve with you, and unlike beauty, they compound over time. The more you learn, the more capable you become, and the more doors open for you, doors that don't slam shut the moment you lose the external edge of youth. Now, let's talk about character. Character is the backbone of trust and respect. It's the thing people rely on when appearances fade, when circumstances change, and when life tests you. A person with strong character, someone who is honest, reliable, and true to their word, will always have more influence than someone who simply looks good. Beauty can create admiration, but character creates loyalty. People stick with you not because of how you look, but because of who you are when things get tough. The most attractive face in the world can't compensate for dishonesty, betrayal, or selfishness over time. People will always choose depth of character over surface-level charm. When your beauty fades, and it inevitably will, it's your character that sustains relationships, both personal and professional. That's why investing in integrity, consistency, and kindness is far more important than chasing an image. And then we come to purpose. Purpose is the driver that gives your life meaning. You can be skilled, you can have character, but if you have no purpose, you'll still feel empty. Purpose is what separates existing from truly living. It's the why behind what you do, the vision that keeps you moving when motivation runs out. Purpose gives weight to your skills and credibility to your character. Without it, you drift no matter how attractive or talented you are. People are drawn to those who have a sense of mission because it inspires them to find their own. Purpose outlasts beauty because it lies beyond you. When your looks fade and your body slows down, your purpose still drives your decisions, your influence, and your legacy. When you weave these three, skills, character, and purpose, together, you create a foundation that no wrinkle, gray hair, or age line can erase. You become the kind of person who continues to matter, continues to grow, and continues to be relevant regardless of appearance. Contrast that with someone who leans solely on beauty. The compliments slow, the opportunities shrink, and the insecurity grows. They're left clinging to something that was never designed to last forever. But someone who invested in skills, built their character, and lived with purpose, they don't lose value with time. They increase it. They're like a fine wine that matures, while surface-level beauty alone is more like a sparkler, bright but gone in seconds. Here's the reality. People may notice your beauty at first, but they remember your skills, they trust your character, and they're inspired by your purpose. Those are the things that create deep, lasting impact. Those are the things that give you resilience when life tests you. Beauty is not irrelevant, but it's temporary. Skills, character, and purpose don't just outlast beauty. They make you stronger as beauty fades. They give you a kind of attractiveness that's rooted not in how you look, but in who you are and what you do. So if you're serious about building a life of significance, stop overvaluing what will inevitably fade and start investing in what will grow. Learn skills relentlessly because the world rewards competence. Protect your character fiercely because it's the anchor that keeps you steady. Pursue your purpose passionately because it gives meaning to everything else. At the end of the day, it's not your reflection in the mirror that defines you. It's the impact you make with the gifts, integrity, and mission you choose to live out. Respect comes from what you contribute, not how you look. That's a principle people often ignore until life teaches them the hard way. In the short run, appearance can grab attention. It can win you compliments, it can make people pause, and it can even get you opportunities you might not otherwise receive. But attention and respect are not the same thing. Attention is cheap and temporary. Respect is earned, and it sticks only when there is substance to back it up. If your only play is looking good, you might get noticed, but you won't get valued. Respect is built on contribution, the things you do, the ways you show up, and the impact you make on others' lives. Think about the people you respect most in your own life. Chances are it's not because of their physical appearance. Maybe it's a teacher who pushed you to be better, a parent who sacrificed for you, or a leader who demonstrated courage under pressure. Respect in those cases came from contribution, the effort, the consistency, and the willingness to add something meaningful to the world around them. You didn't respect them because they looked polished or attractive. You respected them because they led, they created, and they modeled something worth following. The trap many fall into is confusing admiration with respect. Admiration can come from beauty. People admire a good-looking face or body, but admiration fades quickly and it doesn't carry weight. Respect, on the other hand, demands proof. It requires that you demonstrate qualities like competence, reliability, courage, or generosity. Respect grows from contribution because people want to know what you can actually do, not just how you appear. Can you solve a problem? Can you be counted on when things go wrong? Can you deliver results when it matters? Those are the questions that earn respect. Contribution doesn't have to be earth-shattering to matter. It can be as simple as consistently showing up, helping others, or doing your job with excellence. The small things compound. When people know they can rely on you, their respect grows. Looks may have helped you get your foot in the door, but respect comes when you prove that you belong there because of what you add to the room. The truth is, respect and contribution go hand in hand. You cannot have one without the other in the long term. This also applies in relationships. If you want to respect a partner, you have to contribute more than just physical attraction. Contribution here means emotional support, loyalty, honesty, and effort. Relationships thrive when both people bring value to each other's lives. If you only rely on beauty to keep someone's interest, you'll find that interest eventually weakens. A partner may admire your looks, but if you're not contributing to the relationship with kindness, trust, and effort, that admiration turns into frustration or indifference. Respect and love is built by showing up when it's inconvenient, by listening when it's hard, and by choosing to grow together. Contribution creates security, and security creates lasting respect. In careers, the principle is even sharper. A company won't keep you because of how you look. They'll keep you because of the results you deliver. Respect in a professional setting comes from contribution, your ideas, your work ethic, your leadership, your creativity. Looks might get you noticed at first, but results are what keep you relevant. The coworker who looks the part but doesn't contribute ends up resented, dismissed, or left behind. The one who contributes consistently becomes trusted, promoted, and respected. Respect based on contribution is also empowering because it's within your control. You can't control how the world defines beauty, and you can't stop the natural changes that come with age. But you can always decide how you contribute. You can grow skills, deepen your character, and make choices that add value to others. That means respect is never about luck or genetics. It's about accountability and effort. If you focus on contribution, you always have a path to respect, no matter your looks, age, or circumstances. One of the biggest dangers of relying on appearance for respect is that it breeds insecurity. If your respect is tied to your looks, then every wrinkle, every change, every new face in the room becomes a threat. But if your respect comes from your contribution, you're free. You know you're valued not for something fleeting, but for something lasting. You know you matter because of what you do and who you are, not just how you look. That's the kind of respect that carries through decades, that holds up under pressure, and that no mirror can take away. At the end of the day, beauty may spark admiration, but it is contribution that cements respect. If you want people to truly value you, stop asking, do I look good enough? And start asking, what am I giving? What am I adding? How am I making things better for the people around me? That shift changes everything. Respect will always follow contribution because real respect is earned, never given. Growth beyond beauty is a choice you control. That statement matters because so many people live as if they are powerless in this area. They look at beauty as something they either have or don't have, like a lottery ticket they were either lucky enough or unlucky enough to be handed at birth. And while you can't choose the genetics you were born with, you can absolutely choose how much you grow beyond them. The mistake is in believing beauty is the only kind of currency that counts, when in reality your growth, intellectual, emotional, spiritual, relational, and professional, is something fully under your control. That's the kind of currency no one can take away from you. Beauty is static, growth is dynamic. Beauty will fade with time, but growth compounds. Every book you read, every skill you learn, every relationship you invest in, and every moment of resilience you build adds to who you are. You cannot stop the passing of years, but you can decide what you're going to do with them. That decision separates those who live in fear of losing beauty from those who confidently step into each season of life with more value than before. This idea of growth being a choice becomes most evident in how people respond to the insecurity of fading beauty. Some people double down on appearances, they chase cosmetic fixes, they obsess over staying young, and they measure their worth by whether they can still compete with younger versions of themselves. That road leads to exhaustion and bitterness because you're fighting a battle you cannot win. Others, though, see the change as a wake-up call. They realize that while they cannot control beauty, they can control growth. They turn their energy toward developing themselves in ways that last, sharpening their wisdom, nurturing their character, and aligning their lives with a deeper purpose. One group becomes trapped in decline, the other becomes liberated by growth. The beauty of growth is that it's scalable and renewable. You can start at any age, in any season, with whatever resources you have. Someone in their 20s can choose growth by learning skills instead of relying solely on looks. Someone in their 40s or 50s can choose growth by turning life experience into wisdom that guides others. Even in later years, growth can happen through contribution, mentorship, or creativity. There's no age limit on becoming more valuable as a human being. Growth doesn't expire, and because it's built by choice, it's one of the most empowering paths you can walk. What holds people back from choosing growth is usually fear. Fear that they'll fail if they try something new. Fear that they won't measure up. Fear that effort won't pay off. But the irony is, not choosing growth is the guaranteed failure. If you don't grow, you stagnate, and stagnation is worse than falling short because it traps you in the illusion that beauty alone will somehow keep you afloat. Choosing growth means facing discomfort, but it also means building resilience, independence, and a kind of attractiveness that no age can erase. Growth beyond beauty also transforms the way you relate to others. When you focus only on beauty, your relationships tend to be shallow and approval-driven. You seek validation for how you look rather than connection for who you are. But when you grow beyond beauty, you bring substance to every interaction, you listen better, you add value to conversations, you show depth of thought and compassion. People sense that you're not dependent on their approval, and ironically, that makes you far more magnetic. Growth creates gravity. People are drawn to those who are developing themselves, but it inspires them to do the same. The choice to grow is also an act of self-respect. When you invest in yourself beyond beauty, you're saying, I am worth more than what I look like. You're acknowledging that your brain, your character, and your purpose deserve as much, if not more, investment than your appearance. That's not to say you ignore your body or stop caring about presentation. Appearance matters to a point, but it's about shifting the priority. You stop outsourcing your worth to things you can't control and instead build on things you absolutely can. That is freedom. At the end of the day, growth beyond beauty is not just a strategy for relevance, it's a path to fulfillment. Because no matter how attractive you are, if you haven't grown, you'll eventually feel empty. Growth gives meaning, resilience, and confidence that beauty alone can never deliver. And the best part, it's always your choice. Every day you get to decide, will I invest in something fleeting or will I invest in something lasting? Will I chase an illusion or will I build a reality? Beauty isn't forever, but growth can be.